Andhra Pradesh is one of the 29 states of India whose recorded history begins in the Vedic period. Andhra Pradesh is mentioned in Sanskrit epics such as Aitareya Brahmana. The Assaka Maha-Janapada was an ancient Indian kingdom located between the rivers Godavari and Krishna in southeastern India. There are accounts of people in the region being descendants of Viswamitra. These are littered in all versions of Ramayana, Mahabharata and Puranas. Historical overview: in the 6th century BCE, Assaka was one of 16 kingdoms of India. The Assaka was succeeded by the Satavahana, who built the city of Amaravati. The Satavahana Empire reached its zenith under Satyakani. At the end of the Satavahana period, the Telugu region was fractured into feudatories under various lords. During the latter part of the 2nd century CE, the Andhra Ikshvakus ruled the eastern region along the Krishna River. During the 4th century, the Pallavas extended their rule from southern Andhra to the Tamil region and established their capital at Kanchipuram. Their power increased during the reigns of Mahendravarman and Narasimhavarman. The Pallavas dominated the southern Telugu and the northern parts of the Tamil regions until the end of the 9th century CE. Between 624 and 1323 CE, a significant change came about in the social, religious, linguistic and literary spheres of Andhra society. The Kakatiya dynasty emerged, bringing the entire Telugu land under a unified rule. During this period, the Telugu language emerged as a literary medium through the contributions of Nannaya. In 1323, the Sultan of Delhi, Giyas al-Din Tughlaq, sent a large army under the command of Ulugh Khan to conquer the Telugu and lay siege to Warangal. The fall of the Kakatiya dynasty led to a new era under the competing influences of the Turkic kingdoms of Delhi, the Chalukya Chola dynasty in the south and the Perso-Tajik Sultanate of central India. The struggle for Andhra ended with the victory of Musunuri Naiks over the Turkic Delhi Sultanate. The Telugu achieved independence under rule of Krishnadevaraja of the Vijayanagara Empire. After the fall of the Vijayanagara Empire, the Qutb Shahi dynasty of the Bahmani Sultanate ruled Andhra. The Qutb Shahi were tolerant of Telugu culture from the early part of the 16th century to the end of the 17th century CE. The arrival of Europeans, the French under the Marquis de Bussy-Castelnau and the English under Robert Clive, ended another era of Andhra history. In 1765, Lord Robert Clive, along with the chief and council at Vishakhapatnam, obtained from the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam a grant of the 5 Sarkars. In 1792, the British achieved complete supremacy when they defeated Maharaja Vijayarama Gajapati Raju of Vijayanagaram. The foundation for modern Andhra was laid in the struggle for Indian independence under Mohandas Gandhi. The campaign of Potti Sri Ramula for a state independent of the Madras state and social reform movements by Tanjutri Prakasam Panthulu and Kandukarai Vesalingam, led to the formation of Andhra state with Kurnool as its capital and Tanjutri Prakasam Panthulu, a freedom fighter, as its first chief minister. A fully democratic society with 2 stable political parties and a modern economy emerged under the chief ministership of N.T. Rama Rao. India became independent from the United Kingdom in 1947. The Muslim Nizam of Hyderabad wanted to retain his independence from India, but was forced to cede his kingdom to India in 1948 to form Hyderabad state. Andhra state was the first state in India to be formed on a mainly linguistic basis. It was carved from the Madras Presidency in 1953. In 1956, Andhra state was merged with the Telugu-speaking area of Hyderabad state to create the state of Andhra Pradesh. The next chapter in the history of the Telugus began when the Lok Sabha of India approved the formation of Telangana from 10 districts of Andhra Pradesh on February 18, 2014. Pre-Satavahana period. There are references to an Andhra kingdom and people called the Andhras in Sanskrit epics. In the Mahabharata, there is mention of a man called Rukmani of Vidarbha. Vidarbha was a kingdom which included the Deccan Plateau and the foothills of the Vindhya ranges. It included the areas that are now Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Karnataka and a little-known and now submerged archipelago in the Bay of Bengal. Rama is said to have lived in the forests around the present-day city of Bhadrachalam during his exile. Although these ancient literary signs point to a history dating to several centuries BCE, Authentic archaeological evidence exists only from the last 2 millennia. The kingdom of Pratapalapra, which is identified with Palatiprolu in the Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh, may be the earliest kingdom of South India. There is inscriptional evidence suggesting King Kibra ruled over Palatiprolu around 230 BCE. The script of these Palatiprolu inscriptions was the progenitor of the Brahmi Lipi that later diversified into the modern Telugu and Tamil scripts. Satavahana period. During the Mauryan Age, in the 4th century BCE, Andhra was a political state in the southeastern Deccan. Megasthenes, who visited the court of Chandragupta Maurya, mentioned that Andhras had 30 fortified towns and an army of 1 million infantry, 2,000 cavalry and 1,000 elephants. Uninterrupted political and cultural accounts of Andhra Pradesh begin at the time of the rise of the Satavahanas. Matsya Purana writes there were 29 rulers during this dynasty. They held the Andhra Desa for about 456 years, from the 2nd century BCE to the 2nd century CE. An inscription at Nasik, written at the time of Gautamipatra Satakani, the 23rd Satavahana, indicates the kingdom included most of the southern peninsula and some southern parts of the present Indian states of Maharashtra, Orissa and Madhya Pradesh. The court language used by the Satavahanas was Prakrit. Satavahana kings followed the Vedic religion. The fall of the Satavahana Empire left Andhra in political chaos. Local rulers carved out small kingdoms for themselves. Between 180 and 624 CE, control of Andhra lay with Ikshvaku, Bryatpalayana, Salanayana, Vishnukundina, Kakatiya, Pallava, Anandagotrika, Kalinga and other small kingdoms. The most important was Ikshvaku. Sanskrit replaced Prakrit as the language of inscriptions of that time. Ikshvakus, the Andhra Ikshvakus formed a kingdom along the Krishna River during the latter half of the 2nd century CE. The Ikshvaku capital was Vijayanagara. Archaeological evidence points to the Ikshvakus immediately succeeding the Satavahanas in the Krishna River valley. They may have migrated to Andhra from the north. The Ikshvakus left inscriptions at Nagarjunakonda, Jagapeta, Amravati and Palatiprolu. Ikshvaku rulers practiced the Vedic religion. Some scholars suggest this dynasty was related to the ancient Ikshvakus of the Hindu epics. For example, that Rama of the Ramayana, the incarnation of Vishnu, was of the Ikshvaku line. Surviving inscriptions, such as those in the Nagarjunakonda Valley, Jagapeta and Ramayana provide some support for this hypothesis. In the Vedic Purana, Manu, the great patriarch of ancient India, had 9 sons, of whom Ikshvaku was the eldest. Ikshvaku was founder of the Sayavanshi dynasty. He ruled from Ayodhya at the commencement of the Treta Yuga. He had 100 sons, the eldest of which was Vikashi, who succeeded his father as the ruler of Ayodhya. 50 of Vikashi's brothers founded small principalities in northern India. 48 founded kingdoms in the south. In the Dharmamrita, in the lifetime of the 12th Tirthankara, Yasodhara, an Ikshvaku prince of the kingdom of Anga, came to Vengi in the south. The prince was so impressed with the beauty of the region and the fertility of the soil that he made it his permanent home and founded a city called Pratapalapra. In the Puranas, the Andhra Ikshvakus are mentioned as the Sri Parvatiyas and Andhra. They were feudal lords of the Satavahanas and bore the title Mahatalaira. Although the Puranas mentions 7 kings ruling Andhra for 100 years, only 4 are confirmed in inscriptions. Vashisthaputra Sri Santamila Santamila I was the founder of the Ikshvaku dynasty. He performed the Asvamedha, Agnihotra, Agnistoma and Vijayapya sacrifices to proclaim his independent and imperial status. It became a common practice among the rulers of subsequent dynasties to perform the Ashvamedha sacrifice in token of their declaration of independent status. Virafurashadita Virafurashadita was the son and successor of Santamila through his wife Madhari. He had a sister named Devi Santaisri. He took a queen from the Saka family of Ujjain and gave his daughter in marriage to a Shuta prince. Ihuvula Santamila Ihuvula Santamila, Virapurashadita's son, ruled after a short apera interregnum. Rudrapurashadita Rudrapurashadita was an Ikshvaku ruler mentioned in inscriptions from Gurujala in Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh. He may have been a son of Evuvula Santamula. He ruled for over 11 years and was probably the last important ruler of the Ikshvaku dynasty. The Aparas may have taken power from the Ikshvakus in about AD 278. Bryatpalayanas, in the 3rd century CE, the Bryatpalayana ruled North Andhra from the capital, in the Krishna district. One of the dynasty was Jaravarma of the Bryatpalayana Gotra. Anandagotrikas, the Anandagotrikas ruled coastal Andhra from their capital, Kapatapuram. Their affiliations are unknown. Salunkianas, from about 300 to 440 CE, following the fall of the Ikshvakus, the Salunkianas ruled part of the east coast from Benji. Like the Vishnukundinas of Vinakonda who succeeded them, the Salunkianas were vassals of the Pallava of the southern Telugu and northern Tamil lands. In this time, the script of the Telugu and Kannada languages began to clearly separate from that of other South Indian and North Indian dialects. Pallavas, the Pallava Empire was a South Indian kingdom of the 4th to 8th centuries CE. The Pallava ruled from Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu. Their ascendancy occurred during the reign of Mahendravarmana and Narasimhavarmana. The empire included the southern Telugu and the northern parts of the Tamil region. The Pallavas are noted for their patronage of Dravidian architecture, examples of which survive in Mahabalipuram. The Chinese traveller Xuanzang visited Kanchipuram under Pallava rule and extolled the benign government. This period was one of conflict with the Chalukyas of Badami in the north and the Tamil states of Kolar and Pandyas in the south. In the 8th century CE, the Pallavas fell to the Kolar. Vishnukundinas, the Vishnukundina dynasty ruled in the Deccan and South India in the 5th and 6th centuries CE. According to Edward B. Eastwick, the Maharaja of Vijayanagara was a descendant of the Maharajas of Udaipur and of the Sisodia branch of the Gelot tribe. A brother of the Maharaja of Udaipur migrated to Oudh. The early rulers of the dynasty aligned with the Vakatikas and had marital alliances with them and with the Rashtrakutas. In 529, Madhava Varma, a descendant of the dynasty together with 4 allied clans, gained independence by defeating the Salunkianas in coastal Andhra. Their capitals were Amravati and Bezwada, until they eventually settled at Vijayanagaram. Over the centuries the 4 allied clans served as feudatories to the Vijayanagaram rulers, as well as to subsequent dynasties such as the Chalukyas. Reddy and Krishna district was held by the Vishnukundin, although it was later associated with the Rajas. In 1512, the Maharaja of Vijayanagaram was conquered by the Golconda dynasty and was made subadar of the northern Sarkars. The title was conferred by Emperor Aurangzeb, who gave the Maharaja a 2-edged sword. The Zulfikar is still part of the Vishnukundina's coat of arms. The Rajas of Vijayanagaram obtained the title of Gajapati after the 16th century Battle of Nandapur in the northern Sarkars. In 1845, the British, represented by Lord Northbrook, conferred several honours upon Maharaja Vijayavarma Gajapati Raju III. On December 31, 1850, Raju III had a son. One of his daughters was married to Maharaj Kumar Singh, a cousin of and heir apparent to the Maharaja of Rewar. Kalacharis of Chedi, the Matsyas, Chedis, Perichedis, Hoihayas and Kalacharis may share a common Vedic ancestry and origin myth, but the link is tenuous. In the Puranas, Matsya was the name of a tribe and a state of Vedic civilization. The Matsya tribe was founded by a fisherman who became a king. The Mahabharata describes King Sahajai as a son of Uparichara Vasu, a Chedi king. Vasu ruled the Chedis and the Matsyas, suggesting the Matsya were once part of the Chedi kingdom. The Puranas mention as many as 6 Matsya kingdoms. The Pandya kingdom in the extreme south bears the picture of a fish on its official banner. Signs of the Matsya are later found in the Visakhapatnam region. Chedi The Chedi kingdom was one among many kingdoms in central and western India ruled during early periods by Pandava kings and later by Yadav kings. It corresponds roughly to the present-day Bundelkhand division of Madhya Pradesh. Hoihaya The Hoysala kingdom was one of the many kingdoms ruled by Chandravamsha Kshatriya kings in central and western India. Mythology tells of Hoysa's origin from a prince of the lunar race, and the Vishnu Purana links its outlying tribes to the Yadu race. The 5 great divisions of the tribe are named in the Puranas as the Talajangas, Vishihotras, Avantis, Tandikaras, and Jatas. The Hoysala rulers included Kartavaya Arjuna, a powerful king who defeated Ravana. Although he had 1,000 arms, he was felled and his arms severed by Parasrama. The Hoysala capital was Mahishmati on the banks of the river Narmada in Madhya Pradesh. Kalachari is the name used by 2 kingdoms who claim common ancestry and who ruled by a succession of dynasties in the 10th to 12th centuries CE. The first of the 2 kingdoms controlled areas in central India. The second, the southern Kalachari, ruled over parts of Karnataka. Kalachari kings were related to the Chalukyas and Rashtrakutas by matrimonial alliances and so also ruled from places like Tripuri, Gorakhpur, Ratnapur, and Rajpur. The name Kalachari may come from the words Kali meaning long moustache and Churai meaning sharp knife. The Kalachari were also known as Katacharis, Kalanjarapura Varadais Vare and Hoysala. In the Telugu epic, The Battle of Palnad, the Kalachari are referred to as the Hoysala family of the Kona region, and as the Hoysala family of Palnad. They were modest feudatories of the Chalukyas. The Parachodis are also mentioned as minor feudatories of the Chalukyas. According to V. Ramachandra Rao, the Parachodis were linked to the ancient Chedi. They had 2 branches, with Kalaipaka and Bezawada as their capitals. Rao also mentions that the Vastsavai dynasty of Petapura may be related to the Matsya dynasty, as there is evidence of a branch found in the Visakhapatnam area. A record of 1174 suggests the Kalachari dynasty was thought to be founded by Soma, who grew a beard and moustache to save himself from the wrath of Parashurama. Their emblem was Syavana Vrishabha, the golden bull. The Kalachari honored Krintivaya Sahasrajan, who killed Rishi Jamdalni, Bhagwan Parshurama's father. Historians such as P. B. Desai are emphatic about the central Indian origin of the Kalacharis. At their zenith, the Kalacharis ruled an extensive empire covering areas of Gujarat, Malwa, Konkan and parts of Maharashtra. Their rule was lost to the Badami Chalukyas under Badami Chalukya Meghalesa. Colonel Todd recorded a tribe of Hoysala still existing near the very top of the valley of Sohagpur, in Bagelkhand, aware of their ancient lineage, and though few in number, still celebrated for their valor. Eastern Chalukyas, between 624 and 1323, a significant change came about in the social, religious, linguistic and literary spheres of Andhra society. During this period the Telugu language emerged as a literary medium, overcoming the predominance of Prakrit and Sanskrit. From around 848, in the time of Ganaga Vijayaditya, to the 11th century, the Telugu language progressed from stanzas to literary works. In this time, the Telugu language was written in Old Telugu script. Al-Biruni referred to Old Telugu script as Andhrai in his Kitabal Hind. In the 11th century, the Mahabharata was partially translated by the court poet Nana under the patronage of the eastern Chalukya ruler, Rajaraja Narendra. The emergence of the Telugu script from the Old Telugu script began in the 11th century and culminated in the 19th century. The eastern Chalukyas were a branch of the Chalukyas of Badami. Pulakeshin II conquered Vengi in 624 and installed his brother, Qutb Vishnuvardhana, as its ruler. The Vishnuvardhana dynasty, known as the Eastern Chalukyas, ruled for nearly 4 centuries. Vishnuvardhana extended his dominions as far as Srikakulam in the north and Nellore in the south. Control of the Vengi region shifted from Ganaga Vijayaditya, to Rashtrakuta rule, to the Kalyani Chalukya, and to the Cholas. In 1118, Kulochenga Chola was defeated by Vikramaditya VI of the Kalyani Chalukya dynasty. The Cholas at Talakad were defeated by Hoysala ruler, Vishnuvardhana. Thus, once again, Vengi came under Chalukya rule. The fall of the Kalyani Chalukya came with the death of Vikramaditya VI. By the end of the 12th century, The Eastern Chalukya Empire had been divided into local kingdoms, the Hoysala Empire, the Kakatiya Kingdom and the Yadavas. Chola Empire, the Chola dynasty were a ruling power in Andhra from 1010 to 1200. The Chola territory stretched from the islands of the Maldives in the south to the banks of the Godavari River in Andhra Pradesh. Kakatiyas, the Kakatiya dynasty came to power in the 12th and 13th centuries CE. Initially, the Kakatiyas were feudatories of the western Chalukyas of Kalyani. They held a small territory near Arangal. Prola II of the Kakatiyas, increased the Kakatiya territory to the south and declared his independence. His successor, Rudra, increased the territory as far as the Godavari Delta to the east. Rudra built the Arangal fort to serve as a second capital. He countered invasions by the Sunni Yadavas of Devagiri. Your next ruler, Mahadeva, extended the Kakatiya's kingdom to the coastal area. In 1199, Mahadeva was succeeded by Ganapati Deva. Ganapati Deva was the first ruler, beyond the Satavahanas, to unite governance of the Telugu lands, and unlike the Satavahanas, the Kakatiyas were native Telugu kings who used Telugu as their court language. In 1210, Ganapati defeated the Velanati Cholas and extended his empire northwards to Anakapal. Rani Rudramadevi is one of the few queens of Indian history. She defended the Kakatiya's kingdom against the Cholas and the Sunni Yadavas. On her death, at the beginning of 1290, Rani's adopted grandson, Prataparudra, became king. Prataparudra's reign was fraught with battles against both internal and external foes. Prataparudra did, however, expand his borders to the west to Raichur and in the south to Ongole and the Nalamala hills. He introduced many administrative reforms, some of which were adopted in the Vijayanagara Empire. In 1310, Muslim attacks began, and in 1323 the Kakatiya's dynasty fell to the Delhi Sultanate. Musunuri Nayiks, independence of the Telugu land from the Delhi Sultanate was regained by the Musunuri Nayiks, who then ruled for 50 years. Hakka and Bukka, who had been treasury officers at the court of Prataparudra, drew inspiration from Musunuri Nayiks and organized Hindu opposition against the Muslim invaders. Prataparudra was captured by Muslims invaders. Two Telugus, Anamantri and Kalani Rudradeva, united the Nayiks against the invaders. A Nayak from Benji, Musunuri Prolanayak, was chosen as their leader. By 1326, Prolanidu had liberated Arangal. Inspired by the victories of Prolanidu and his cousin Korpanidu, other states including Kampili, Hoysala, Dwarasamudram and Aravidu asserted their independence. Ali Khan captured Harihara and Bukka at Arangal. They were converted to Islam and were sent by the Sultan to suppress the rebellion of the Hoysala ruler. The brothers did not comply and established the Vijayanagara Empire. The Sultan led a large army south but was halted by epidemic illness and Nayak resistance. Korpanidu with assistance of the Hoysala liberated Andhra Pradesh. Kakatiya took the titles Andradeswadiswara and Andrasaratrana. In 1345, Muslim nobles rebelled against Muhammad bin Tughluq in Devagiri. This resulted in the foundation of the Bahmani Sultanate by Hasan Gangu. He assumed the name Alauddin Bahman Shah and in 1347, moved his capital to Gulbarga. Through raids and coercion, Sinama of the Rechula Nayiks, destabilized Alauddin's rule. Korpanidu made a treaty with Alauddin and surrendered the Cholas fort. In 1351, Muhammad bin Tughluq died. In 1359, Alauddin died and was succeeded by Muhammad Shah. Korpanidu then sent his son Vinayaka to liberate Cholas and Bhuvanagiri from the Bahmanis. The Vijayanagara Emperor, Aitareya, assisted him in this campaign. Vinayaka had initial successes but was eventually defeated, captured and killed. Korpanidu persisted and captured Golconda and Arangal. In 1365, Golconda was chosen as the border between the Bahmani and Arangal kingdoms in 1365. Musunuri Korpanidu was forced to pay remunerations to Muhammad Shah. In 1370, Singa Mainayaka of Rechula marched against Arangal. Korpanidu died in the ensuing battle at Bhimavaram. Reddy dynasty. the first of the Reddy clans came into prominence during the Kakatiya period. During this time the Reds carved out feudal principalities for themselves. After the death of Prataparudra II and the subsequent fall of the Kakatiya Empire, the Reddy chiefs became independent, leading to the emergence of the Reddy kingdom. The Reds ruled from what is present-day Srikakulam in the north to Kanchi in south, that is, most of the present-day Andhra and Rayalaseema regions. The 19th-century writer Edgar Thurston in his book, Castes and Tribes of Southern India, stated that the Reds were village chiefs and listed them under the section cap. 28. The village chiefs were given the title Reddy. The Reddy dynasty ruled some parts of coastal Andhra Pradesh for over 100 years. Pralaya Bhima Reddy was the first king of the Reddy dynasty. The capital of the kingdom was Adanki. It was moved to Kandavadu and then later to Rajamundry. Pralaya Bhima's reign was characterized by the restoration of peace, patronage of the arts and literature, and broad development. Erana, the translator of the Mahabharata, lived during this period. Origins of the Reds. The Rashtrakutas and Reds may share a similar origin, from the Rathas who ruled the Deccan in ancient times. The Rathas ruled over small principalities on the Deccan Plateau before 200 BCE. The word Rath is found in various forms, such as Reddy, Ratha, Rashtrakuta, Rata, and Rathor. The Reds left coins in northern Andhra Pradesh, in Kurnool district, and near Pune. Coins have been found in excavations in levels from the megalithic to Satavahana periods. The word Reddy is first recorded in inscriptions made during the Renati Chola period. The Reds may be an offshoot of the Rashtrakuta dynasty, a Rajput clan. After the decline of the Rashtrakuta dynasty, the ruling clan broke off and settled in two branches in North and South India. The settlers in the north were called Rathods and ruled Marwar in western Rajasthan, while the southern settlers were called Reds. Vijayanagara Empire. The Vijayanagara Empire was founded by Harayara and Bukka, who either served as treasury officers in the administration of the Kakatiya dynasty or were commanders of Hoysala's forces. In 1323, when Aurangzeb fell, the two brothers were captured, taken to Delhi and converted to Islam. The Delhi Sultanate sent them to the Deccan as governors of Kampili with the hope that they would be able to deal with the local revolt and invasions by neighbouring Hindu kings. Their first campaign was against the neighbouring Hoysala emperor, Veerabalala III of Dwarasamudra. Later the brothers reconverted to Hinduism under the influence of the sage Vijayanagara and proclaimed their independence from the Delhi Sultanate. This tale of conversion to Islam, wars against the Hoysalas and their reconversion to Hinduism has been rejected by some who claim the founders of the empire were Kannadigas who had been stationed in the Tunjabhadra region Veerabalala III to fight the Muslim invasion. Harayara I established his new capital, Vijayanagara, in an easily defended position, south of the Tunjabhadra river, where it came to symbolize the emerging medieval and political culture of South India. The Vijayanagara Empire reached its zenith under Emperor Krishnadevara in the early part of the 16th century CE. Telugu literature developed during this time. Vijayanagara monuments were built across South India, including Lepakshi, Tirupati and Srikalahasti in Andhra Pradesh. The largest and best-known assembly of such monuments is at Hampi in modern Karnataka. Mughal era. In 1323, the Delhi Sultan, Ghayazuddin Tughlaq, sent a large army under the command of Ulugh Khan to conquer the Telugu country and lay siege to Orangal. In 1347, after a revolt against the Delhi Sultanate, an independent Muslim state, the Bahmani Sultanate, was established in South India by Alauddin Bahman Shah. By the end of the 15th century CE, the Bahmani Sultanate was plagued with fights between factions. As a result, 5 Shahi sultanates were founded. Of these, it was the Qutb Shahi dynasty that played a notable role in the history of the Telugu land. The Qutb Shahi dynasty ruled the Andhra region from the early part of the 16th century CE to the end of the 17th century CE. Sultan Quli Qutb Shah, the founder of the dynasty, served the Bahmanis faithfully and in 1496 was appointed governor of Hyderabad state. In 1518, following the death of Mahmud Shah, his patron, Quli Qutb Shah declared independence. In 1687, Aurangzeb, the Mughal emperor, invaded Golconda and annexed it to his empire. He appointed a Nizam. The Mughal Nizams controlled the Andhra region for the following 35 years or so. In 1707, Aurangzeb died. The Mughal regime weakened and lost control of the provinces. This enabled the East India Company of England and the Compagnie des Indes Orientales of France to consolidate their political powers in India. Beginning of the colonial era, in 1753, Asif ad-Daula Mir Ali Salibat Jang, Subadar of Deccan, made a decree which ceded to General Bossi the paragons of Chikkakol, Ellore and Rajamundry. Rs 200,000 were given annually for the maintenance of the French troops in the Suba, in recognition of their help. The revenue of the Sarkars amounted to 1 million rupees per year. Bossi had helped Salibat Jang become Subadar of Deccan. The agreement between the French and Salibat Jang in Aurangabad bears the signature of Said Lauksha, minister of Salibat Jang. Yanam acquired considerable importance during the occupation of the northern Sarkars by the French. In 1758, the French and the English fought at Chaundurti. The French were defeated by the combined armies of the British and Maharaja Ananda Gajapati Raju of Vijayanagara. Salibat Jang made a treaty with the British and gave the northern Sarkars to them under a firman. Later, the Nizam rebelled against the English. The war ended with a second treaty and the northern Sarkars remained permanently under the control of the British. After 1760, the French lost their hold in South India, especially on the northern Sarkars. In 1765, Lord Robert Clive and the existing chief and council at Visakhapatnam obtained from the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam a grant of the 5 Sarkars. In 1792, the British achieved complete supremacy when they defeated the Maharaja Vijayarama Gajapati Raju of Vijayanagaram. During the rule of Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan, the Kingdom of Mysore pursued an expansionist policy against the Marathas, the Nizam and the English and made incursions into the Rayalaseema region. Madras Presidency the northern Sarkars became part of the British Madras Presidency. Eventually, the region became the coastal Andhra. Later, the Nizam ceded 5 territories to the British, which became the Rayalaseema region. The Nizams retained control of the interior provinces as the princely state of Hyderabad, acknowledging British rule in return for local autonomy. At this time the provinces were governed in a feudal manner, with zamindars in areas such as Kula and other parts of the Godavari acting as lords under the Nizam. The feudal or zamindari system was removed after independence. Telugu districts in the Madras Presidency, Visakhapatnam, Godavari, Machilapatinam, Colonial, Nellore, Kadapa, and Antapa. Zamindaris in Madras, Visakhapatnam, Pemasani clan, Ravela clan, Vasaredi Rajas, Yalagada Rajas, Balasu clan, Malapudai clan, Adusumili clan. Padamanayakas of Madras, Bobalai, Vavalavlazayan Nuganti kings, Siripuramiya Nuganti kings, Palakanda, Kurlampudai, Kajimkota, Annavaram, Nuzorvedu, Malavaram, Gureja, Srikalahasti, Palavaram, Venkatagiri, Pithapuram. Post-independence, in 1947, India gained independence from the United Kingdom. The Muslim Nizam of Hyderabad resisted, but was forced to cede his state to India in 1948 to form Hyderabad state. When India became independent, the Telugu-speaking people were distributed in about 22 districts, 9 of them in the Hyderabad state region of the Nizam's dominions, 12 in the Madras Presidency and 1 in French-controlled Yanam. In 1953, Andhra state was created from part of Madras province and was the first state in India to be formed on a purely linguistic basis. In 1956, Andhra state was merged with the Telugu-speaking area of Hyderabad state to create Andhra Pradesh state. Madras Manade movement Madras was a place of both Tamil and Telugu cultures. In the early 1920s, the chief minister of the Madras Presidency, Panagal Raja said that the Kum River should be kept as a boundary between Andhra and the Tamil regions. In 1928, Sasi Sankaranaya sent a report to the Central Council as to why Madras should not belong to the Tamils, but it was decided that Madras would remain in the Tamil region. In 1953, Telugu speakers of the Madras Presidency sought to make Madras the capital of Andhra Pradesh state. They adopted the slogan Madras Manade equals creation of Andhra Pradesh state equals. The activist, Potti Sriramula advocated for Telugu people by promoting the inclusion of the Telugu-speaking areas of Rayalaseema and coastal Andhra in an Andhra state. He started a hunger strike which he continued until Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru promised to form Andhra state. On October 19, 1952, when the promise had not been fulfilled, Potti Sriramula began his fasting again in Maharshi Bilasu Sambamurthy's house in Madras. Despite the disavowal of the fast by the Andhra Congress Committee, Potti Sriramula's action became widely known. He died shortly after midnight on December 15, 1952 at 126 Roy Aptar High Road, Mylapore, Madras. The house has been preserved as a monument. During Potti Sriramula's funeral procession, people shouted slogans praising his sacrifice. When the procession reached Mount Road, thousands of people joined and raised banners hailing Sriramula. Later, they went into a frenzy and began destroying public property. The news spread quickly, creating uproar in distant places such as Vijayanagaram, Visakhapatnam, Vijayawada, Eluru, Guntur, Tenali, Ongole and Nellore. 7 people were killed by police gunfire in Anakapal and Vijayawada. The unrest continued for 3 or 4 days, disrupting normal life in Madras and Andhra regions. On December 19, 1952, Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru announced the formation of a separate state for Telugu-speaking people of the Madras Presidency. On October 1, 1953, 11 districts in the Telugu-speaking portion of Madras state voted to become Andhra state, with Kurnool as their capital. Andhra Kazari Tanjutri Prakasam Panchalu became first chief minister of the new Telugu state. Merger of Hyderabad state and Andhra equals. In December 1953, the States Reorganization Commission was convened in order to prepare for the creation of states along linguistic lines. Due to public demand, the Commission recommended the disintegration of Hyderabad state and the merging of its Marathi-speaking region with Bombay state and its Kannada-speaking region with Mysore state. The States Reorganization Commission discussed the pros and cons of a merger of the Telugu-speaking Telangana region of Hyderabad state with Andhra state. Paragraph 374 of the SRC report said, "The creation of Vishalandra is an ideal to which numerous individuals and public bodies, both in Andhra and Telangana, have been passionately attached over a long period of time, and unless there are strong reasons to the contrary, this sentiment is entitled to consideration." Discussing the case of Telangana, paragraph 378 of the SRC report reads, "One of the principal causes of opposition of Vishalandra also seems to be the apprehension felt by the educationally backward people of Telangana that they may be swamped and exploited by the more advanced people of the coastal areas." In its final analysis, the SRC recommended against the immediate merger. Paragraph 386 reads, "After taking all these factors into consideration we have come to the conclusion that it will be in the interests of Andhra as well as Telangana, if for the present, the Telangana area is to constitute into a separate state, which may be known as the Hyderabad state with provision for its unification with Andhra after the general elections likely to be held in or about 1961 if by a 2/3 majority the legislature of the residuary Hyderabad state expresses itself in favour of such unification." The central government led by Jawaharlal Nehru elected to merge Andhra state and Telangana to form Andhra Pradesh state on November 1, 1956 after providing safeguards to Telangana in the form of a gentleman's agreement. Telangana movement equals. Major actions aiming to revoke the merger of Telangana and Andhra occurred in 1969, 1972, and 2009. On December 9, 2009, the Government of India announced the process of formation of the Telangana state. Public protests in the coastal Andhra and Rayalaseema regions occurred immediately after the announcement and on December 23, 2009, the decision was indefinitely deferred. The Telangana movement for statehood has continued with associated suicides, strikes and protests. Bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh equals. On July 30, 2013, a Congress Working Committee unanimously passed a resolution to recommend the formation of a separate Telangana state. In February 2014, the bill was placed before the Parliament. In February 2014, the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act, 2014 was passed allowing for the formation of Telangana state comprising 10 districts from northwestern Andhra Pradesh. The bill received the assent of the President and was published in the Gazette of India on March 1, 2014. The state of Telangana was officially formed on June 2, 2014. Evolution of multiple Telugu states equals. Indian Parliament and the two main national parties in particular have been on a common platform of carving out more states from large states. They argue that smaller states have more accountable governance and they point to positive results from prior such bifurcations. Critics argue that instead of devolution of power and responsibility, the stated objective, a large number of smaller states make the centre stronger and unaccountable. Critics point to prime ministers that never won a popular election, unelected ministers from the nominated Rajya Sabha who owe their political life to party bosses instead of to the people etc., to make their point about centralization of power. The two main national parties benefit from this smaller state policy and that no coalition of regional parties can create an alternative, and politicians without any regional or electoral experience can hold on to power with inside political maneuvering in Delhi. As a part of this bifurcation agenda and in step with the local demands from a separate Telangana, the Indian Parliament approved the creation of two states from Andhra Pradesh. The key figures in bringing about this new era of multiple Telugu states were Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, President of the Congress Party, Kalvakuntla Chandrasekhar, President of TRS, Chandrababu Naidu, the leader of TDP, Sushma Swaraj and Venkaiah Naidu for the BJP. Chandrasekhar Rao was the leader of a political movement from Telangana that led the campaign to bifurcate the state. Chandrababu Naidu, Sonia Gandhi, and Sushma Swaraj led parties that approved the bifurcation of the state as part of their party agendas. Various other key political leaders, such as the Chief Minister of the state, Kiran Kumar Reddy, and Vijayanagara, Member of Parliament Lagardapati Rajagopal publicly claimed opposition to bifurcation, in line with the views of their constituents. These two leaders specifically worked hard and were very successful in convincing the anti-bifurcation movement that they were capable of stopping the bifurcation through political means and that in agitation bloodshed was not needed. The bifurcation was hence completed as planned without any bloodshed. When the President of India referred the bill to the Andhra Pradesh Assembly for opinion, Chief Minister Kiran Kumar Reddy and Speaker Nadindra Manohar who hail from Simandra used every trick to delay the procedures in Assembly so that Telangana bill will be returned to President very late. Knowing that last session of Parliament before elections will be over by third week February. Hoping that Telangana bill will not pass before the elections. Finally the bill was returned on January 30, 2014 with over 300 requests for more information. It was voted down in Assembly along regional lines. With Simandra's majority in Assembly the result was obvious. See more at Telangana Bill Legislative Proceedings. The passing of the bifurcation legislation by Congress, UPA, was the most acrimonious incident in the Parliament of India since independence. Simandra MPs are determined to stop the Telangana bill to be introduced in Parliament. An initial attempt to introduce the bill in Rajya Sabha was rejected by the Speaker of Rajya Sabha, Hamid Ansari as a violation of the constitution since it had fiscal matters in it. A duly validated no-confidence motion was pending in the Lok Sabha of the Parliament at the time of this legislation. Long-standing parliamentary procedure requiring valid no-confidence motions receive immediate attention to avoid illegitimate governments from passing legislation was violated by the Speaker Meera Kumari. The Indian Parliament descended into brawls with Simandra MPs in the well of the Parliament to stop the bill while other MPs trying to stop them. The day ended with Speaker announcing that Telangana bill was placed in the Parliament, even while Lagardapati Rajagopal, a Simandra MP, used pepper spray in the House including on the Speaker to stop the announcement. Upon which entire Parliament had to be evacuated. The acrimony resulted in the suspension of all of the Andhra MPs from the parliament during the passing of the legislation. To avoid similar situation, following day, parliament doors closed, and the broadcast of the proceedings shut down for the Speaker to declare the bill passed on a voice vote. The Supreme Court refused judicial review of the bill or the validity of the parliamentary procedures used to pass the legislation. The key bifurcation parliamentary decisions were to leave Hyderabad and its revenue to Telangana. Providing Hyderabad as the joint capital for 10 years, leaving Hyderabad and surrounding area law and order with the governor, Bhadrachalam province of the Andhra region to be left with Telangana with land needed for irrigation project on Godavari to be transferred to the residuary state of Andhra. Some verbal promises were made by the retiring Prime Minister of India to help both the new states develop after bifurcation. Allocating all assets in the ratio of the revenues from each region and all liabilities assigned in the ratio of population. While Telugu people were busy with the bifurcation-related drama, the upper riparian state of Karnataka was awarded more Krishna water in a never-before-used formula for upper riparian water allocation. The KG Delta oil and gas wealth has been sold off to British Petroleum by the central government. Dynasties. References. External links, Planning Commission Study of Andhra Pradesh's Development and Regional Imbalances, 2004 Elections, Valley of Stupas Photograph and Text, Binoy K. Bell.